What's up? Today I've got 5 VHS era fantasy movies for you with killer visuals and totally different vibes. Ranging from cute and sugary sweet to outright horrific mindfuckery. Let's not beat around the bush, let's dive right in. Cruel by Peter Yates. The plot is straightforward. On the planet Cruel, a prince and his companions set off to rescue a princess from the clutches of an alien invader, ultimately defeating him with the power of love. I have to give credit to the effects. Everything looks amazing. They had a huge budget, so they really went all out on the visuals. The Cyclops makeup is done exceptionally well, he even blinks. Plus, they added some lore. Every Cyclops knows the exact day they're going to die, which adds a nice gloomy touch. Sure, the movie is a bit goofy in places and was clearly riding the wave of Star Wars hype, but I am not hating. They made it with real care and genuinely wanted to launch a franchise, but it just didn't pan out. It also features probably the most inconvenient and useless legendary weapon in combat history, a bladed boomerang, the glaive, that you're more likely to injure yourself with in real life. On a fun note, it's the first time I've seen Liam Neeson and Robbie Coltrane before they blew up. The IMDb rating is criminally low. Personally, I think it only flopped at the box office because of overhyped expectations when it came out. Time Bandits by Terry Gilliam. Little Kevin discovers that his bedroom houses a time portal, out of which tumbles a crew of 6 dwarfs. These guys have stolen a map of time anomalies from the Supreme Being himself, and now they're hopping through different historical eras with pretty dishonorable intentions. On the surface, it looks like a cute, silly fairy tale about a boy's adventures with a quirky gang, complete with strong Monty Python vibes. But just when you let your guard down, it hits you right in the gut. In the climax, Gilliam delivers a surprisingly cynical and dark ending that leaves you genuinely unsettled. However, Gilliam stood by his decisions and had to fight the studio bosses tooth and nail to keep that ending. He put it bluntly: kids know that bad things happen, and that adults can't always protect them. Hollywood loves lying to kids, but I wanted to give them an honest fairy tale, dark but grounded in emotional reality. Gilliam insisted on a test screening, and to producer Dennis O'Brien's surprise, the young audience didn't cry. They were absolutely thrilled. From their perspective, the adults were simply getting punished for being stupid. Throughout the film, Kevin's parents spend most of their time glued on the TV, caring more about kitchen appliances than their own son. In the end, the film serves as a cautionary tale showing exactly where consumerist mindlessness and child neglect can lead. For fans of the grotesque and dark humor, this is pure bliss. The Company of Wolves by Neil Jordan. Adapted from Angela Carter's short story in her iconic collection, The Bloody Chamber. This movie is a mesmerizing gothic horror and a literal fever dream. It twists the familiar tale of Little Red Riding Hood into a dark coming-of-age history. The plot kicks off when a young girl falls asleep in her room and sinks into a surreal medieval dreamscape. In it, her grandma, played by brilliant Angela Lansbury, warns her never to leave the path and to watch out for men with unibrows. Today, that warning might sound slightly sketchy, but there was no malice behind it. Carter was just channeling old school European lore. The transformation scenes turning men into wolves using 100% practical effects are breathtakingly horrific. Plus, the whole thing was filmed on a studio lot, and that thick, foggy fairy tale woods set looks insanely gorgeous. heavy metal by these guys. Returning from a long space voyage, an astronaut brings his daughter a gift, a glowing orb. But this thing is little, the Lochnar, the embodiment of all evil in the universe. It surprises her death on the spot and being terrorizing the girl with visions of how it seduced mankind, fueled wars, and destroyed civilizations. And turns out the girl getting the orb wasn't just a coincidence. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking loved it. The animation is vibrant and rich. A soundtrack is such a banger that you wanna dance even while total carnage is happening. In short, this movie goes unbelievably hard. We get shameless sex scenes, random nudity, aliens, blood, noir vibes, decaying corpses, and magic. It's an anthology set across different times and dimensions, all linked by the Lochnar. One chapter is set in 2039, and honestly, take away the flying cars and ray guns. This is basically how I envisioned New York City. They even show ties. It was inspired by the sci-fi magazine of the same name, with the most stories taken straight from its pages. The arc of the silent warrior Tarna was illustrated based on the work of Gingero, also known as Möbius, the comic legend who later worked on the Fifth Element. The song actually got taken to court over the crazy similarities. A taxi driver rescuing a damsel in distress, a futuristic megacity, a talking ball of evil, and the female savior of the universe. This film is an absolute banger. Sadly, it flopped because adult animations was a rare beast in the USA at the time, and copyright clearance issues delayed its physical release for decades. On the Silver Globe by Andrzej Żuławski. So, for the other movies, I only gave you the basic setup, but that's not gonna fly with On the Silver Globe. To explain why it's brilliant, I'm gonna have to break down the whole plot. So if you're worried about spoilers, consider yourself warned. First of all, I blew my mind having to sit through almost 3 hours of this. And keep in mind, the film was never even finished, but more on that later. Second, I don't think this is some pretentious pseudo-intellectual art house movie. Not for everyone. To me, the director was trying to convey pretty obvious themes. The film is based on the Lunar Trilogy by Polish author Jerzy Żuławski, the director's grand-uncle. The story is split into three distinct time periods, showing how humanity on a new planet transitions from astronauts to religious zealots in just a couple of generations. In the first act, a spaceship from Earth crashes on an unnamed planet. Three astronauts survive: Jerzy, Marta, and Piotr, while Tomasz dies in Marta's arms from his injuries. The survivors have a video camera, which they use to log everything happening around them. The crew attempts to build a new ideal society, but their daily life quickly collapses. Marta gives birth to children by different men, but due to the planet anomalies, these kids age and grow up at a terrifying speed, reaching adulthood in just a couple of years and multiplying like crazy. Gradually, all the original astronauts pass away until only old Jerzy remains. This new wild generation, having never known Earth, starts seeing Jerzy not as a man, but as the immortal old man, a creator god descended from the heavens. And major spoilers ahead. Consider yourselves warned. As the population expands and requires more space, the people set sail across the ocean to see if anything lies beyond it. And they find something. The planet is inhabited by indigenous, telepathic bird-like beings called Sherns, who live in massive stone cities with their own rich culture, advanced technology, and temples. Naturally, they view the human arrival as an invasion and attack the tribes. Yeji, unable to endure living among his feral descendants any longer, launches the video diary back to Earth and dies shortly after. Meanwhile, the Sharns enslave the humans, driving them underground to use as slave labor and raw biological material, spawning hybrids with human women, Morgs, whom the Sharns relegated to the role of servants. Act 2 skips forward years into the future. The descendants of the astronauts have devolved into a terrifying primitive tribe. They formed a pagan cult complete with sacrifices, rituals, and taboo rules based on distorted fragments of technical manuals and all Yeji's stories. Naturally, a prophecy takes root among the tribe. One day, a redeemer, a messiah, will descend from the sky, slay the Sharns, and set humanity free. In Act 3, a scientist named Marek arrives from the Earth. Back home, they analyzed Yeji's videotape and dispatched a new expedition. The moment Marek steps out of his ship in a spacesuit, the wild humans immediately hail him as their long-awaited God Messiah. But instead of breaking the news and revealing the truth, he leans into the role of the prophet, rallying the tribes to wage war against the Sharns. While Marek stormed the walls on the front line, behind him his civilization descended into total madness. The tribe devolved into fanaticism, executing people for a lack of faith. I won't show it here, but it's a deeply repulsive and exceptionally well-crafted sequence. Despite physically taking the city, humans were helpless against the Sharns' mental field through telepathy. They overwhelmed the soldiers' minds and forced the human army into retreat. Back with the tribe, Marek sees what people did while he was away, and he's horrified. Realizing that Marek is just a mortal man, made of flesh and blood, the angry, disillusioned mob sacrifice him on the seashore, just as humanity once sacrificed Christ on earth. The ultimate irony is that the film was censored and almost lost forever. By 1977, 80% was shot, but it enraged government officials. Rather than just shelving the footage, they shut down shooting and ordered the sets demolished, driving Zhulavsky out of the country under threat of prison. The crew miraculously saved the footage, literally smuggling reels and hiding them for almost 10 years. In 1988, a regime was falling apart. Zhulavsky returned. Reshooting the missing 20% was out of the question. No sets and the cast had aged. So Zhulavsky pulled off a genius, hyper-ironic move. Instead of stitching together a broken cut, he filled the missing scenes with shots of 1980s Warsaw, narrating over them to explain what was destroyed by state censors. In trying to delete the film, censorship proved whenever the screen cuts from alien vistas to ordinary Polish streets, you physically feel the parallel between the madness on the Silver Globe and the totalitarian decay on Earth. The government tried to bury the truth, but ended up writing themselves into history as the exact same savages from the movie, smashing what they can't understand. Like I said, Zhulavsky proved a simple truth. Humanity is beyond saving. We can't survive with idols or scapegoats, and humans will carry their toxic baggage wherever they go, even to the edge of the cosmos.